Good morning. First of all, thank you for having me. What a cool space. Who is it who works here? Anybody from Big Eye here? Oh, I'm like, surely someone. What a cool space, and I love that you have a jigsaw puzzle out. That's one of my relaxing things to do. There's always one out in my house, so I promise I didn't put any pieces in. So let me move this on. Okay. They told me I could color outside the lines a little bit because I was like, Crossroads. Okay, wait a minute. Let me have a think about that. But we all have crossroads in our lives all the time. They don't have to be big, giant ones. I put some of the many titles, I guess, that I have. And if you look through them, there are many times in there that it was a crossroads moment, whether that was starting a new business, selling a new business, or moving 5,000 miles away from England, which hopefully, Victor, when he said, when I came in, he said, oh, I was hoping for an English accent. And I said, what? Hope I still have it. Although I've lived here since 2004 now. And, you know, as I said to him, if I'd moved to France, I would have learned to speak French, and I have learned to speak American. So those are just a few of the things that, you know, kind of describe me over the years. But I want to talk about one of the biggest crossroads that I had in my life. So I'm going to skip past all of the early years of, you know, one of five, was a rebel, left school at 17, worked in a bank for 10 years, had kids, finally went to college at 31, which I actually get asked to speak about that quite a lot because I think that's an important thing to know that, again, another crossroads. Do you go to college or don't you? But it doesn't have to be a final decision because you can go anytime. You know, one of the great things that's happened in the last 20 odd years is all of the access to further education that we have. So I was definitely one that took advantage of that. So we'll skip through all of that and we'll just talk about 2004. So had to make a massive decision, big crossroads in my life. Do I stay in England, comfort zone, you know, all your people, your family, or do you move 5,000 miles away to a city that you've never had any experience of at all? And that was Austin, Texas. Such a fun city. I loved living in Austin. And I talk to my dad all the time about where's the music scene here? Because, you know, you and anybody as well who's lived in Nashville, you come to expect it. Even at the coffee shop in the morning, there'd be someone on a guitar. And I really missed that when I first came here. However, in 2008, my hometown football team in England, Stoke City, my ex-husband was a part owner, a minority owner of that team. And they were looking at America and they were looking at all the things that were happening in soccer at the time. I don't know if you know this, MLS is only, I can't do the math, but 1996. So next year they'll be, 30 years old. So still a baby league, still young. And it only came into being because the 1994 World Cup was held here in America. By the way, still the best attended, I think still to this day, it has the highest attendance record. But part of them allowing the World Cup to come here was that they had to start a domestic league. So that was why MLS came into being. And in the beginning, I think there was 8 teams. A couple of people owned 2, which is just mad to me. And a lot of them were NFL owners who understood that this was a sport that was, you know, America really had to kind of get their arms around. So in 2008, I think there were 14 teams. still looking to expand. And our team said, we would love you to find an affiliate for us. We think this is going to be the next big thing. We would love to have a club that we can exchange players, do scouting, all the things. So that was when we really started kind of looking at the landscape. And it was mostly made up of USL, which is United Soccer Leagues, right down the road in Tampa, and MLS. And we looked and looked. And then one morning over breakfast, we just said, you know what? Why don't we just start our own? Yeah. How hard can it be? Yeah, and it was hard. But we decided at that point, USL was the best kind of entry point. So we started a team, but it was in Austin. And we spent 3 years of, let's just call it challenging, losing a lot of money, no support from local government or media or business, and not a lot of support in the stands either. And when I tell you, we were playing in high school football stadiums with all the lines and no alcohol. We struggled. And so then became the next Crossroads moment. And it was, can you actually move a team? And as someone from England, that is like an absolute no. That is not something you'd be able to do. It's a little different here. And I think because we were only 3 years in and we weren't this massive team, it was still hard. It was still a tough thing to do, but it was the right thing to do. And what we hadn't realized was there'd been an investor here in Orlando that had announced they were going to have a team in 2010 and then got into trouble on Wall Street and said, hey, I'm out. So now USL were in the position of having announced a team. There was even, madly, there was already a supporter group here before we even got here. They'd announced a team and now they couldn't support it. So we flew in. We spent a week in Winter Park, which, if you're trying to persuade me to move to a new city, great move. Because I think a lot of times, and again, buying a house is a crossroads moment. And you'll all know that feeling. You walk into that house and you're like, yeah, this is it. This is the one. This works. And that was the same thing in Winter Park. Can you imagine yourself living there? Yeah, actually I can. So we moved here in 2011. At the very first press conference, we put a great big idea out into the universe. And that was, we don't just want to be a minor league team. We're going to be major league, and we're going to do it in 5 years. And we did. And then I think because this is obviously about creative, this is where I went a little bit outside the line, sorry, Victor, which was, how do you make a city fall in love with a sports team? So when we moved here, we knew that there was Orlando Magic, and not really a whole lot more. So we knew first of all, we knew there was space for us, and that was a big piece. We also knew by then that Mayor Dyer was all over this. He had his vision of his sports and entertainment corridor. And if you think about it now, it will be his legacy, because we now have the amazing Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center. We have a fabulous Amway Arena that does 1 million events a year. We have our stunning, beautiful, awesome stadium. And then we have Camping World. So we have that corridor now. So he was very keen to get this moving. And so he helped us bring people around the table. He helped us put together a whole team of advocates. So people they are what you would now call influencers, but they truly were influencers. They were people who were in big companies all over Central Florida, who we would feed information to probably on a weekly basis. So if anyone said to them, Orlando City, what? They'd go, let me tell you. And they would have all the facts and figures, because we kept them informed and motivated all the time. So there's a big one, win. Everyone loves a winner. And those first 4 years in the minor leagues, we won a trophy every single year. We actually have a trophy cabinet in the stadium now, and those trophies are on display. And the very, very first year, we won the league and then we won the playoffs as well. So those things help. So people started coming. So the fans started growing. And that bottom picture, in 2013, we broke the record for any minor league team across the country for attendance. We had 22,000 people come to that game. It was mad. It was 7-4, guys. It was the most bonkers game, but it was awesome. It was awesome. I know, 7-4. Our coach said afterwards, he said, how can 7 goals not be enough? We kept thinking every time we score, they would score again. They're like, no. And then the other piece was a lot around the marketing. We had an incredible woman who now works at Nashville who gathered together a really young team. And she said, bring me your crazy. Whatever you think of, let's see how we can make that work. And magnets was one of them. We started the magnet craze here. And one of the things we did in the beginning was you could only get them on a Monday. So guess what? Everyone wanted them. And I've had them stolen off my car. I couldn't even tell you how many times. I keep spares. And if I see someone's car and their magnet is looking a little faded, I put another one next to it. I don't take it because people are like superstitious about that. I've had that magnet since whatever. But that became a thing. We did scavenger hunts. We did all kinds of things to get people excited. Always include the fans. They are your lifeblood. Without the fans, there's no team. And so for us, this was 2 kind of very particular occasions where we involved our fans. The first one was when we made the official announcement that we were joining Major League Soccer. We did it at the Cheyenne Saloon, which is incredible. I'd never been. And for me, growing up watching American cowboy movies, I was like, this is it. This is burst in and ask for your drink. And it was also kind of a full circle moment because this is where they'd announced that the 94 World Cup was coming to Orlando. So there was a kind of a little tie in there as well. We had a balloon drop and it was mad. More people in there probably than the fire marshal was comfortable with, but hey, sorry. And then the second one was the groundbreaking. And Major League Soccer were like, we'll come and it'll be lunchtime and, we'll have the mayor and the commissioners. And we're like, no, 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 no. No, the people who need to be there are the fans. And so we closed down Church Street and we had a march. The mayor and the commissioners were with us. So were all our players, our fans with smoke bombs and flares and flags and drums and everything else. We marched down to the stadium site. The Jones High School band were there. And then Teresa, this lady I'm talking about, had flown in 25 tons of purple sand. So there's little buckets that you can see on there. Everyone was allowed to have the little bucket and go away with a little scoop of sand to say they were there. Much nicer than a stinky piece of soil, no offense. So that was another way that we made sure that the fans were there. It was in the evening. There was purple beer and all kinds of things. Oh, and sorry, those shovels were all hand painted. I have one, and anybody who was officially there all got one of those shovels. They've all got a different lion on them. They're amazing. These are 2 other occasions where I would say endear you and bring loyalty from your fans. So we were the first sporting event after Pulse. And we struggled with, do we have the game? Should we have the game? What do we do? And Mayor Dyer was very adamant that we should have the game, that people were looking for opportunities to come together and to hug and to just be together. So we did a lot of things that we had to get special permission for. So one was, we normally come out to the FIFA anthem. We came out to All You Need Is Love. Our players all had, I'm going to get choked up, sorry. Our players all had special T-shirts, which we auctioned afterwards, and we made $500,000 through T-shirt sales and jersey auctions for the victims. And we had one of the stands had 49 balloons in it. We now have 49 rainbow seats in our stadium as a forever tribute. And then we stopped the game in the 49th minute, which was such a powerful moment. You know, soccer, it doesn't stop unless there's a foul or a goal, hopefully. But so that was a huge, huge thing. And it was very impactful. And I still talk to a lot of our players that were there that night who were just so moved by that one thing. Moving on to a more fun one, right before we were going to go Major League, so 2014, we announced, that we were doing a logo. We put an RFP out to everyone to design a new logo. So our old logo was 3 lions. This one, we needed a new logo. MLS have rights to all your marks and everything else, so they wanted a new logo. So we put this RFP out. On April Fool's Day, we did a press release saying we've got this great new logo. We're going to be the Orlando City Sea Cows. People went. I can't even use the words, but I'm not going to swear. But people were out of their minds. Like, what? How can you do this? And there's if you go back and look, there's 400 comments. Until they realized it was a joke. But we'd got, quotes from our head coach and our CEO and all the rest of the things. The cool thing is it then became a thing. And so there's merchandise now because people wanted it. They're like, well, and it's become one of those, if you know moments. So if someone wears it, people are like, why are you wearing that? But if you know. And we still have scarves and T-shirts and everything. So that was a fun one. When we did release the logo, again, we like to be a little different. Instead of doing the da-da, pull the little screen and the little curtains open and here's the new logo, we had 9 street artists who were allowed to paint in. It was designated. They weren't just allowed to go crazy and paint all over the city. And it couldn't be overtly the logo because guess what? Every business in the city would go, hey, I want to do that too. That sounds like fun. I'll put my logo everywhere. So it was their interpretation of what did Orlando mean to them. And then somewhere in it, there would be a lion of some description. There was one on, I couldn't get a really good picture of it. What was the place in Thornton Park called? Ugh, the name's gone out of my head. But on the side of the wall, they had a lady with, she had a crown on with the theme parks, like a castle on her head. She had the fountain on her hand, and then on her arm, she had a lion tattoo. So it was a really fun way to do it. Just being different again.
Is that Dexter's?
Dexter's. Thank you, Jim. Thank you. It was Dexter's. Then, how else do you get the people to fall in love? Add a legend. Kaká came with like 80 million followers on social media, which is, you cannot underestimate what that means, and all the Brazilian followers. So that was a cool piece. So then we come to another crossroads. So it's 2015, we've launched into MLS, we filled the bowl. So we did a hashtag fill the bowl. hoping we'd get 30,000 people, and we got 62,500, which was incredible. Probably one of the proudest moments of my life was standing on the center circle that day and just looking around and going, wow, we did it. Dreams come true. We actually did it. We've started work on building the new soccer stadium, so we've broken ground. And then NWSL, the women's league, came to us and said, we need you to have a women's team. We think this is a great market. We think it would be a great place to do it. And we're like, well, no. Yes, but no. We are going to do it. We absolutely have that in our plans for the future. We're just not ready now. We just did all these things. And they're like, no, we need you to have it now. We're growing, but we need to show stability. We need to show growth. And it would really, really help. And then they said, well, if we give you Alex Morgan, will that help? And so that's honestly kind of a shortened version, but that's pretty much how it happened. It was, that was kind of the catalyst for, so 2016, 1 year after we launched a major league team, we launched the NWSL team as well. And then we come to this legend. And people use that word very loosely. She truly is a legend. Marta has been the FIFA World Player of the Year 6 times. She's scored more goals in the World Cup than any man or woman. She's scored in 5 World Cups, which is just mind-blowing to think about. And she plays here, right here in Orlando. So she's just been like an incredible addition. So things didn't go so great for the women's team. So I put 9 years in the wilderness. This was the campaign we had last year. And it was a little bit edgy because it was, do you see us now? And that was all around, you've written us off. You don't think we can do anything. You don't think we're ever going to amount to anything. Do you see us now? So then hopefully this is it the next one? Yeah.
The Orlando Pride, have you heard?
It's must-see TV. We are talking about the National Women's Soccer League.
Match day on CBS. The National Women's Soccer League plays its championship game tonight.
Guys, it's time. We dream about this one. It's time to live our dream. And we did so far. Together, we're gonna do again tonight. Together! Let's go!
Shoves off of Santos. Here we go. Angelina looking for Banda. She's behind Morgan. Banda on the ball inside the area. Cuts it back. Here's Barbara Banda! And the Pride go in front!
Banda, what a season she's had!
And it's Orlando with a 1-0 lead. Barbara Banda won woman wrecking crew.
Rose Kouassi. Good looking ball in, but straight into the arms of Morehouse. Banda. Kouassi meeting a match. Banda back at her. Travelling once again. Marta up against Kruger. Oh, and it's a good ball in, and these are desperate times. The Washington Spirit, Orlando Pride are so close.
Still play on. Hold on a second. No, we don't. Nichols blows the whistle. The Orlando Pride have won the NWSL Championship. The Orlando Pride have reached the promised land, the NWSL Shield in October. And now, in November, they have taken home the whole
Hell yeah. Let's go party.
Woo, hard not to get emotional again watching that. It was amazing. And a lot more stars. Obviously, Barbara Banda came to the front. Marta swore on live TV. Which, hey, that's true. Not our problem. But yeah, it was just a phenomenal season. And it shows that you can turn things around. And there were many, many more crossroads along that road, including changing our GM. Our head coach who you saw there, Seb Hines, is actually an Orlando City player. So are two other of his staff. So they have that purple heart, if you like. Seb's also from England, very laid back. Someone asked him, how does it feel? And he went, it's all right, innit? I don't know if does it work for that? Oh, there we go. I just put a couple of quotes up there. And the second one I put up there is because people accuse me all the time of being positive. And I think this quote really spoke to me because it doesn't mean I'm ignoring that there are negative things. It just means I want to overcome them. And there's a big difference between the two. So do we have time for questions, Victor? Oh, awesome. So here endeth the lesson. So I can talk for hours about Orlando City. So I had to kind of cut it down a little bit, but I have hundreds of stories, especially on that creative piece. One of the ones I did want to talk about, and I completely forgot. When Don Garber, the commissioner for Major League Soccer, was coming to town in 2013, we wanted to convince him that this was a market. This was absolutely where soccer could thrive. And so we asked all of our supporters, if you could say one thing to Don Garber, keep it clean, what would it be? And so we took all of those quotes and then we pick him up from the airport and we drive him on this very circuitous route to downtown. And every billboard that he passed had a message. Hey, Don, the city beautiful deserves the beautiful game. Hey, Don, MLS belongs in Orlando. It just about blew his mind. And that was the day he said, it's not a matter of if, it's when. So that was when we knew it was going to happen. And again, that was Teresa, who is just this incredible out-of-the-box thinker who, she was the purple sand and the magnets, and she's amazing. But sorry, digress. Questions? Yeah, Dana.
So we're so honored to have you here, and you rightfully own the name K-Lando, because she is our queen of Orlando. But I'm curious, like in the early days, like how was it like building the team and getting the right talent, and like what you did with marketing, and like it's incredible from soup to nuts, like what you guys did as far as like how was that process for you guys in the beginning days to get the right people in the right positions?
Yeah, I think also scaling a team. From when we moved here from Austin, we had exactly one front office employee that came with us. So we very quickly had to go about building a team. I think the big thing was, do you believe in the dream? And if you don't bother. Sports is all about passion. It's all about authenticity. It's meant to be real. And so interviews were pretty easy, quite honestly. It didn't mean that you had to have played soccer or even that you knew that much about it. That's okay. But did you believe in this dream that we were not only going to be a minor league team, we were shooting for the major leagues? And there's a ton of talent out there. And I think it very quickly you weed out like who are the energy vampires and who are the ones who are actually, who've bought in and who live and breathe and dream this. And I look back and I feel a little bit bad because it's all very well when it's your business, it was ours. And so anybody who's an entrepreneur or who's ever started a business, it's 24/7, 365. You are working. And we were I feel very fortunate that we brought a whole bunch of people along with us, including actually my two sons, both worked for the club in those early days. We brought a lot of people along with us who were also willing to put that work in. What a thing to put on your resume. You were part of the team that raised this minor league team to be a major league team. And then you're part of the team that is now on the championship NWSL team. So I think, it's having an instinct for the right people, but let them show you what they can do. And it was very much Wild West in those days. We had a truck with a gobo on the back, and we would shine our logo up on the buildings in downtown Orlando. And it was, hey, ask for forgiveness, not permission. So we did a lot of that kind of stuff in the early days. And so I feel like we attracted those kind of people to us. Yeah.
Speak to the creation of, in those early days, especially the transition to MLS, the creation of Society 21 and what went behind that? Why was that the name chosen? Just kind of the process of that.
Sure. So we were the 21st team to be in Major League Soccer. So that was how the society piece. And it was a way to honor the people who believed in us from the beginning. And if you go and stand in the supporter section, tomorrow night, you will find a lot of people there who were there in the Camping World days, who were also there that horrendous year, sorry Disney, that we played 1 year at Disney because in 2014, Camping World went under yet another renovation. We had nowhere to play. UCF, we're not interested. That's all I'm saying there. And so we had to make a decision, hey, another Crossroads, I guess, of do we just go dark for a year and then use it to get ramped up and ready for 2015? But you can't do that to your supporters. And so we went out and played at Disney Wide World of Sports. I only say it was horrendous. Number one, you had to trek out there with all your banners and all the stuff. They hated our fans for the language they use. We had a lot of fights over that, anyway, that didn't make a lot of sense because we weren't in the parks. It was our game and that was all that was going on at the time. But anyway, that's another story. But that's why we wanted to honor those particular fans who had stuck with us, who, were literally, and we did, every year when we do a jersey, we have themes and there's things around it. We did a jersey called Thick and Thin for that very reason, that, all sports teams go through the ups and downs, the highs and lows. And that was one. By the way, the new Pride jerseys are amazing. They have the star on, which we'll always have now because we'll always have been champions. For the first year, they're gold because you're the current champions. And then I don't know what color it changes to after that. But I think one of my favorite jerseys was the Marianne Carroll one that we did. She was the only female highwayman. So she was a highwaywoman, technically. So they were Black artists who would sell their wares out of the back of their cars. They would travel around. And so we did a whole jersey kind of honoring her. And it was probably one of the most popular that we did. Her daughter's still around, and so she was involved in the whole process. But yeah, there's always a story behind it. But sorry, long-winded answer. Told you. Yes, Jim.
I want to say there's a Marianne Carroll exhibit right now at City Hall in the Terrace Gallery. You don't have to go into City Hall, you can just go straight in and check out Marianne Carroll stuff. But my question today is, talk about the two rival supporter groups and the politics around managing them and how you accommodated them in the stadium.
Thanks, Jim.
Sure, you're welcome.
Thought you were my friend. So all I will say on that subject is one of the amazing things about any soccer game is it's the United Nations. There are people from every country, culture, sexuality, religion, walk of life, whatever you want to say. Unlike most other sports, everyone is there. We have a judge who comes in a purple mohawk wig, who stands on the wall, and he might be standing next to someone who works on a construction site. That's okay. You're all there in purple. You're all together. You're all part of one tribe. But anyone who's been to the game will know that energy is bought by the two supporter groups. We have the Ruckers and Iron Lion Firm. I'm looking at the wall while I'm talking to you. That's why I'm doing this. I know where they stand. And it was all one supporter group at one point. And then there were some disagreements around how people support. So I would say Iron Lion has a little more Latin flair. They were the ones who wanted the flares and the drums and all that kind of thing. And so in the beginning, it was not amicable. It was we were first, while we were purple first, while it's like having children. And so when we built the new stadium, we literally got them together in one room and knocked their heads together and said, listen, if you want to be intimidating, if you want to support the players, you have to come together. You have to sing together, you have to chant together. And now that's what happens. Don't get me wrong, they still have some fallouts. But when we built the stadium, we actually brought them into one of the design charrettes and said, what do you want? And they said, well, don't give us seats, because we'll just stand on them. We would like somewhere to put our beer, because you charge a lot of money for the beer. We don't want to spill it. So in front, and it's called safe standing for a reason. And I grew up in the days where, I actually ended up in hospital after a game at Stoke, standing on the terraces, and we scored and everyone surges forward. And then you come back, and I came off the step and pulled the ligaments in my leg. And my friends at the time made a very protective circle around me, but we're not going to leave the game, right? So I did eventually go to hospital and was put in plaster and everything. But anyway, and then there was a terrible, terrible disaster where a lot of people got killed and crushed. So all of those standing areas went away all around the world. They're gradually coming back. And we were one of the first, certainly in America, to build a stadium like that. There are actually seats. They kind of flip out from behind, because FIFA, if we have the men's national team here or the women's national team, they mandate that it has to be all seated. So we can just flip those little benches out, and then it makes into bleachers. We also put rigging in there for tifos. If you don't know what a tifo is, you can look it up after. There are some amazing examples. It's basically a banner that's the size of this room. They're huge. And after the anthem, they winch them up all the way to the top of the stadium. They're there for a few minutes, and then it comes back down again. It's very often it's a knock on the other team. We always have to approve them, because you can't have political or bad words, because it's going out obviously on television. And as much as I would love there to be a political one, we're not allowed to do that. But they're incredible. But that was another thing that the supporters asked for, and so that's what we did. And then now it says man the wall. Now we've got the championship banners up there. We raised the new Pride ones this year, which was such an amazing moment. And yeah, that's kind of what the wall is. And in the men's games, if you look to, where am I? I'm looking at it, to the left where the ruckers stand, there's also a lot of country flags. And that represents all of the players that are, or the coaches, what countries they come from. So you'll see Colombia and Peru and Sweden and Iceland. And how great for our players to look up there and know that, you know, that somebody's thinking about them and their country. Any more questions? Yes.
So you briefly touched on the Fill the Bowl campaign, which was obviously tremendously successful. What I'm curious about, as you mentioned, that those games at Camping World were well, the new stadium was still being developed. Was there any pressure at that point, either from the city or from corporate sponsors, to increase the capacity of the planned stadium?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Gosh, I'm trying to be politically correct here. Major League Soccer changes the goalposts, literally, all the time. So when we were about to, you know, enter into MLS, they basically said, you have to have a downtown stadium, and it needs to be grass. So obviously that, number one, that rules Camping World out anyway. And so, you know, we moved heaven and earth, literally, to put the stadium where it was. And we had a lot of opposition, including actually some of the, you know, Central Florida Hotel and Lodging, because they all want everything done, which would be a nightmare. Can you even imagine trying to go to a game on a Saturday night when everyone else is going to watch the fireworks at Disney? And no way, it would have been terrible. So we were told that we couldn't use Camping World because it was obviously one of the things we thought about. Other teams had just used a lower bowl and like covered the top bowls for the games. Looks great, no problem. That was apparently not an option for us. So that's what happened. So the only reason I'm kind of annoyed about that is our new owners, they're not new now, the Wilf family, who also own the Vikings, they went after the Minnesota MLS franchise. And they were told, you can't use, you know, your Viking stadium, you know, you'd have to build a new stadium. And so they pulled away. The very next year, they let Atlanta into the league. Guess where Atlanta play? Exactly. So kind of annoying that they keep changing their minds about things. And I'm sure for the Wilfs, that was probably annoying too. But you know what? Since they've been the owners, Orlando City won the Open Cup in 2022. And Orlando Pride won the Shield and the championship in 2024. So I feel like they're probably pretty happy right now, hopefully. Yeah.
We have time for one more.
Okay. Oh, Beth.
Can you talk about how when you opened the stadium and just kind of everything came together in Orlando, the relationship with the people in Paramore, and I just think that's a really beautiful story. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. And that was really part of my brief. And I get asked by students when I go to colleges, you know, how do you get your job? And I'm like, well, I wrote my own job description. So I don't know how you do that. You have to start your own team. But my big focus always was the community. You know, sports teams have this very unique platform of being able to speak or not on different things. And my kind of challenge to myself was we knew we wanted to be in Paramore, we knew we wanted the stadium there. How do we work with this community who have been trodden on, forgotten, lied to, promised things that never happened? This is all the things I heard. So it was, and especially in probably the first 2 years, I couldn't even tell you how many community meetings I went to just to listen, just to be there. You and someone would inevitably, oh, that stadium's come in and they don't even care. And I'd say, I'm here. If you want to ask me anything, I'm here. And we did a lot of those kinds of meetings to try and allay the fears. And then the other big piece was we formed our own foundation, and we very much focused in that footprint to begin with. So we started building mini pitches, which are, they're usually a tennis court that we convert, purple, obviously. And then the second piece that they said was, well, that's all very well. You're going to give us a mini pitch, great. Who's going to play on it and who's going to teach the kids? So the second piece was free soccer programs. So that's what we activated on all of those mini pitches, with free soccer programs, player visits, which is always awesome, equipment, because a lot of those kids didn't even have sneakers. They didn't have anything to play in. So that was the second big piece. And then the third one, and Beth was on my board, we were teaching nutrition as part of those soccer programs, and then realizing, you know what, we're in a food desert. There is nowhere here to access that fresh food. We can't make grocery stores move into Paramore. So what can we do? We went to the city of Orlando. We said, we've got some money. We think we want to do community gardens. We have no idea what we're doing. And they were like, come on in. And so we built the very first one at Rock Lake, which is right by Camping World Stadium, 22 beds. We had about 100 volunteers from our supporter groups came and helped. And we built 22, they're like 10 by 4 kind of raised beds, filled in with the soil and the compost and then all the plants. And that became the first of many, many, many. And we built them as small as 3 beds at a community center to 16 at the local school in Paramore, where they also have, we pay for a teacher to go in and do garden club. And that, people are like, you do gardens in your soccer team? But honest, it makes sense, I promise. It's all about the holistic piece of helping bring some health and wellness into the community that you are. I mean, I'm there more than I'm at home. So it's in my best interest as well to try and make this community better. And I think the big piece was always listening. Listen, listen, listen. Don't be the white knight. Hey, we know what you need. It's no, what do you need and how can we help you? And so, hopefully we've had a better effect than a worse. There's always, it's never all one or the other. But since we've been there, Valencia have a downtown campus, UCF have a downtown campus, businesses are moving in, restaurants are moving in. So, hopefully it's been mostly on the good side of the scale, I hope. Okay, are we done? Okay.